People like instant gratification because they want a solution to how to do better the next time so they don't mess it up twice. I always say success is never caring who gets the credit. And more importantly, perfection is never messing up the same way twice. Like once you have how you define certain things for you and not others, you go on your journey and not someone else's journey.
Welcome to the Share the Wealth Show, where minority professionals can learn to escape the racial wealth gap and catapult themselves into abundance. Your host, Nicole Pendergrass, grew her net worth from being negative to multiple six figures. Join her on her investigative mission to expose secret strategies of the wealthy so we can all have the tools needed to build the life and legacy we were created to possess. Now it's time for the show.
Hey guys, so we're back again. This is the second part of the episode with today's guest. I need you, if you have not heard part one, go back to the previous episode and listen to that first, and then come back and join us here today. But you're not going to want to miss what they already said, because then you'll be lost with what they're about to say. But in any case, you don't want to miss you need to hear the whole conversation. This is why we split into two parts. There's so many nuggets. It's so juicy. Go back and listen to the first part. Okay, so we talked about your build your bank, the school that you have, the life your commercial real estate. Well, actually, we talked very little about real estate, but that's fine. Like I've talked about real estate and a lot of other, unless there's something specifically about it that I know with you, there's maybe a different type of business model structure to it, or something a little bit different that you're doing than everybody else is when it comes to syndications and things like that. You do syndications too, right?
Of late, no. I personally vet away from that. For me now, if it's a syndication, it would be a passive investment. I'm not interested on the active side, because I've always said this, I'll say it out loud. A syndication is truly building someone else's dream. The question is, are you okay with doing that? If so, how? And I tell people all the time, you have to ask yourself mentally that you are now not necessarily an angel investor, but you are an investor in someone's startup and are building their dream, and be okay with that. Because ultimately it goes from a syndication usually to someone starting their own network of, adding more value and getting more capital, throwing more events to raise more capital, when sometimes that capital that they're raising is more so from the event as opposed to their actual investors and their network. So I'm fine with building someone's dream and helping them do that. At the same time, there's more people out here that don't need a syndication to build their dream. When I meet those kids, when I meet some of those families, they have 10, 15, 50K, but they don't need to put it into an asset as far as education wise, because now they're not asking about how do I invest in this asset and learn and earn while investing in the asset. They're investing in the network, and they don't realize there's a difference between an operator and a passive investor. So just providing a level of clarity up front before I go into it. So I'd rather JV with someone or just be the bank for them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There are a lot of people who are not at that level where investing passively as a syndication makes sense for them or their finances. But there are much more people with less capital who need something that is a little bit more active and is outside of the mold of, what they're normally exposed to.
Yeah. Okay. Back to doing more good for me. And syndication isn't doing more good for me as far as helping others. It's doing more good for me personally. And it's not about me. It's about the abundance mindset of being a go-getter. And if I'm in syndication, that's on hold. You and I both know that's a whole time of what? When I could have put that into adding value to some others and showing them how to deploy capital a different way.
No, that's very true. Because even when I've done 2 syndications so far, not as the lead GP, but, a co-sponsor. And the capital... Sorry?
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And then also the capital that you make, especially depending on how large the GP team is, can be cut down pretty significantly. So I don't even want to say it's helping me grow my legacy that much at first. Like a syndication is a long-term game, just like wealth building. That's not a quick do one syndication and you make a ton, unless you're able to finance the whole thing by yourself, and then you're not doing a syndication, you're just owning an apartment building. But
that's where, and that's why I have to be realistic of where I'm at. If I can take down that by myself, why would I go build someone's dream of taking that down when I know there's a lot of individuals that are going to go into that space because they're mentally thinking as an operator when they hear the, do one deal, quit your job. You better not, because there's a rat race. All right. Question is, what type of, cheese you're at.
Oh, but you was going to say, what type of rat are you going to be?
Yeah, exactly. What type of rat and what type of cheese are you at?
What type of cheese? Who stole my cheese?
Yeah, you quit that capital department too soon. Yeah.
No, and that's what I go back and forth with myself about firing my capital partner. But I think I'm good. Like, I know I'd be able to get by. I have just enough income to cover what I need to. I'm good. Otherwise, I'll be calling you and sleeping on your couch, bringing my 2 kids.
Listen, it's okay. Do what you love and love what you do.
Exactly. Okay. So this, oh my gosh, this really has, I'm looking at my notes and trying to see if there's anything else. I know there's so much other things that we could talk about, but I love the whole treasury management index options, the build your bank, your private school, even the real estate that you're doing, but now more JV. We talk about like it or love it.
Oh, yes.
Do we want to, I know, like, this is a youth program, right? It's a youth sports program?
Yes, we do a number of things in there. We have your Adopt a Heart, to where we actually have different entrepreneurs coming from different backgrounds, whether it's police officers, sheriffs, teachers, lawyers, doctors. The kids tell us what it is that they would like to do career-wise, because they always base it off of money. And then when you play the cash flow game with them, they realize quickly the janitor sometimes is a lot more wealthier.
Yes.
In the long run, is a lot more wealthier than some of those.
Than the doctor and whoever else. I'd be mad when I pick a doctor card if I play cash flow. I'm like, I want to be the janitor.
Like, it sounds good. I'm like, how about this? If you want to be a doctor, just go get your PhD. If they got some janitor doctors out there. I say it's not that hard, but every doctor is not an actual doctor. It just lets you know what type of degree they have first and foremost. And you have to educate the kids on that, because they don't know that. Yeah. Just like they don't know you can go into commercial the same way you can go into residential, but with a lot less when you start talking about the entry point of education as far as having, selling an asset or purchasing an asset. So just educating them on different things. And then once they go, they have like 15 minutes at a table with a different professional, and then they rotate around. So either they'll have one question that they can ask that professional. Those are pre-approved questions that they get to submit prior to the event. And when they ask them questions, they go around, and then the next meetup, we find out that some of them didn't realize they had to be a police officer and or go through a true criminal justice path to be an FBI agent. Because one of my clients is actually FBI agents and special intelligence. So they came, talking to the kids, etc. And that's when they was like, wow, I didn't know I had to actually do all of that. I was like, what do you think, you're going to get a degree and just jump into special intelligence? So one of the kids, that's why I say they're so brutally honest. They asked one of the police officers, which I got a kick out of. I have a question. If I'm speeding and you have to speed to catch up to me, when you get to me, shouldn't you give me a warning because you speeded too? So shouldn't that cancel out the ticket? I say, kids, they make you really think about things in a completely different way, because they want to know more. They want to grow. They want to be better. They want structure. They want discipline. Is that sometimes we try so hard to give them everything we've never had that we don't realize everything we never had made us who we are. Don't change the work habits. Don't change the work values. Install them in them and let them show up and show you who they are. Like if a kid falls, oh, you're not going to get him? No, I'm not going to get him. I need to know who we're dealing with. Is he or she going to get up and get back to it? Or are they going to stay there and look around and see who's looking? I need to know who I'm dealing with.
That's crazy. Listen, I know you've been digging in, studying everything you can, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the books, even going to meetups. You basically have a degree from YouTube University, right? but you still feel stuck. You don't know how to actually implement what you've learned. You're nervous about taking the next step. And with the economy like it is, especially with a downturn looming, you're even thinking maybe you should just wait it out. I know you've heard that real estate makes more millionaires than any other asset class, but you know what else? More millionaires are made in a downturn than any other market cycle. So now is the perfect time to jump in and really get started. I'm super bullish on growing my portfolio this year, and I don't want you to miss out. So I've decided to start the Microfamily Investing Accelerator. This is a mentorship program where I personally guide you through my 5 proprietary pillars so you can learn how to buy your first commercial multifamily property and scale while not biting off more than you can chew by focusing on 5 to 20 units. That's what I call microfamily. And so you can also get hands-on guidance from an experienced microfamily investor, me, who's been right where you are, nervous about how to start. And so you can also create the cash flow needed to give you freedom and options to build the abundant life that you were destined to live. So I'll be limiting the first cohort to 5 students because they'll have direct access to me and I will be heavily invested in their success. If you're ready to grab 2023 by the horns, schedule a free discovery call with me today. The link is in the show notes. Let's hit the ground running in 2023. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. And now let's get back to the show. Because I try to think about that when, even just dealing with my children, because and their kids are so different too. The youngest one, she'll do something, she'll fall. They had on their little tights, roller skates or whatever the other day in the house. So, we got hardwood floors, we got some area rugs. So they going off the area rug onto the hardwood floor, and maybe she didn't realize the difference in the friction. And so she fell so hard and she popped right up and started just cracking laughing. It was like, like, oops, I fell, like more of an embarrassment thing. And that's a 3-year-old. Then the 5-year-old was over there and fell too. And she is on the ground falling. And it's just like, all right. My husband said, get up, it's fine. It doesn't hurt that bad. He was like, it's okay, it's okay. And she's like, it's not okay. It's not.
You know what?
And I just don't know how to encourage, but still and support, but still like toughen her up a little bit. It's
when you ask them what they need from you and let them have that moment of telling you what they need. Because some people just want to talk. Everyone knows someone that they just need to get it off their chest. They just need to get it out in the open and say it to someone, and then they feel better, even if they could have felt better without doing all of that. But you let them go through their process. And even with what you just said, I picked up on the first child is probably perfectly fine with coming to you, but when they want assurance, they're gonna go to Papa. The one that failed and screamed and yelled, coming to you, period. That's what I picked up on.
And you know what? And honestly, it's semi. It just depends on what's happening. But the one who fell kind of does. She goes with Daddy a lot. Yeah. So I don't know. But Daddy was I don't know if I should say it because he listens to this podcast sometimes. But I'll say it. When he was a kid, he was a crybaby. So yes, she got that from him, and I was not. I was completely opposite. So I think my youngest one got that from me, and he's gonna be like, "Why you say that on your podcast?" I'll just tell him not to listen to this episode.
It's the truth podcast.
It's the truth podcast. But anyway, I love that question. That's so smart. See, now, whenever I need parenting advice, I'm calling you. What do you need from me? If I just need to ask her, okay, what do you need? How can I make you feel better? What do you need from me? Then I'm sure she'll tell me an icy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Solution. It's like all of us. People like instant gratification because they want a solution to how to do better the next time so they don't mess it up twice. I always say success is never caring who gets the credit. And more importantly, perfection is never messing up the same way twice. Like once you have how you define certain things for you and not others, you go on your journey and not someone else's journey. And ultimately, when she communicates to you what it is that she needs, that's a level of healing and or soothing right there in itself. And sometimes we try to come to the rescue, but they don't need us to come to the rescue. They need us just to listen, and they need us to just be a support. And we don't know how to do that because we're oftentimes communicating with ourselves. So I always say, KYP, know your person. You know each of your children, including your husband, probably better than they know themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, know your personnel. I'm writing that down too. KYP. I got to listen to this again because I got to take better notes. I don't got enough. I should have had a blank piece of white paper here to take notes. I'm trying to write between words and I can't. I don't got enough space. So I need to re-listen to all of this. This has been fantastic. All right. So we probably over time. It don't matter because this is just way too great. But what I'm going to do is we're going to start wrapping up and I'm going to ask you the final questions that I ask every guest. Okay. So Warren Buffett said that diversification is protection against ignorance. What do you think he meant by that? And is that a good or bad thing?
I don't think it's good or bad. I think, once again, KYP, know your personnel. Diversification, too, also depends on what works for you, not someone else. Like for me, I diversify a lot in different asset classes if you're talking about investing and things of that nature. But I always hear people say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting a different result. I personally think it depends on the individual and the situation, which goes back to this quote. If a person continuously does great and does all the things that's needed at their job, oftentimes they also get overlooked for promotions. And sometimes the individual that's doing nonsense that really doesn't have a clue of what's going on gets the promotion. So if that person continues to do well and to do great, that's a well-adjusted individual. That's not an insane individual. So that individual in that situation applies to something different. And they had to diversify in that situation. So for me, it depends on the market and the market cycle. If I'm going to diversify, like right now, I'm investing very heavily in tax lien certificates and our options at tax lien deeds, as opposed to just acquiring certain other type of assets. Land, I'm looking at heavily, and car washes and triple net lease. So if it's multifamily or self-storage, I'm definitely looking at the right partners for that. That's why it's important to have a network and a teamwork, because I think teamwork makes the cash flow, build your bank, and have a cash flow lifestyle.
See, I'm not even going to write that now. I'm just going to rewind and write it down later. Okay. I love it. I know you played Monopoly before. No?
I have.
Oh, okay.
A long time, but I have.
I know. Yeah, it's been a long time for me too. I came up with this question, but it's not like I'm a Monopoly fanatic. I don't play it that much. But anyway, everyone kind of knows the fundamentals of it. So that's why it's good. So Boardwalk is, one of the most expensive properties, and Baltic is one of the cheapest. In your strategy to win the game, whether real life game or Monopoly game, which one are you buying first and why?
Since I can't say both, it goes back to the market cycle. When investing, I'm always looking at the market cycle and what makes the most sense to me. Like right now, if I'm investing in, say, a multifamily asset, it's going to be an A class or a B, just because I don't want to ever be on someone's 30% income. Like, how can I add more value to them? So now I'd rather be on someone's 5% income or someone's 10% income. So I determine that based on the market for me or how I'm choosing to invest, and going back to that network and teamwork. But if I had to buy, it would probably be the Boardwalk. But right now, I think buying up a lot of Baltic Avenue is going to be very intentional, because there's going to be a lot of individuals that are going to be potentially displaced. So if I can add value to them and have a quality property that allows them to still have those W-2s or those jobs and things of that nature, then that's what I'm into. But normally I would be the Boardwalk person, but due to the current market, I'm going to probably be more of the Baltic Avenue individual, to where I'm going to buy more of the cheaper properties and then add more value to a lot more families.
I love that. I love that breakdown. I think you're probably one of the only ones who's actually gone into what's happening right now in the market cycle and which asset type would fit better with what your business plan would be. Okay, I love it. This is going to be a good question. What does wealth mean to you?
It starts for me about need, wants, and desire. Time and freedom. Like, my time is so valuable to me, and I want the freedom to do what I want to do with how I want to do it, who I want to do it with, and family-wise, etc. Investing in other people because that's where I'm at right now, just investing more of my time in other people. Because people ask me what I do all the time, because I'm like, it's some mystery to them when it's like, wealthy is quiet, because I'm around a lot of wealthy individuals. And you don't talk about what you do all the time, unlike when someone says, tell people what you do, tell people what you do. And one of them said it best. People that tell people what they do all the time is because they don't have enough capital. And I said, okay. And it makes a ton of sense though. Like, and then you have the other ones that do have enough capital, but they have some larger goals in place and they need more people on their side for that in the long run. So they're doing all of that extra good now to allow that to happen. But for me, it's about time and freedom and being a life legacy changer. Life, let's invest in future education and employment. Legacy, that L is for life, or laughter, because sometimes you got to make sure you're having fun and doing what you're doing. That E is for education. That G is for grace. Lead with grace, because you never know where someone's at and where they're trying to go. You might be able to add value to them. You might tear them backwards based on the words that come out of your mouth. A is for abundance. Have that abundance mindset to be a go-getter, go-giver. Think more about others than about you, because if they get what they need, you will get what you need, want, and desire. C is for compassion, which goes back to grace. If you lead with grace and compassion, chances are you're going to be right where you need to be, want to be when it's all said and done. And then youth, giving back to the youth, because we have 2-year-olds that know how to work a cell phone better than, a 50-year-old. So ultimately, if we add into that and stop trying to change their current, structure of normalcy, that's not our normalcy. Because I didn't want a phone, even when my parents gave me a phone. Like, I don't want that. What I need that for? We need to know where you're at. These kids need a phone, because some of them are making more money than their parents from social media and different other aspects. So it's like, meet them where they're at and help them grow to where they're trying to go, as opposed to changing them and wanting them to be more like how we were when we grew up. So, and they educate you in a completely different way. And then once you're that life legacy changer, for me, it's about capital. Hence, that's the name, Life Legacy Capital. And it takes capital to do that. So once I have more time capital, once I have more freedom capital, I can deploy my capital in a different way, which is my time, my freedom. And philanthropy for me isn't always about giving more capital. It's about giving more time capital so that we can grow and be well and wealthy together. But that's truly what wealth is for me, making sure my needs, wants, and desires and my time freedom is in place to where I truly can be a life legacy changer.
Oh, I needed this today. Girl, you are blessing me right now. All right. Your business, what are you planning to do? Where do you see yourself going, in the future, 3-5 years, or however far out you plan? And then what's the biggest resource you need to get there?
People. You need more people, more contacts, more lifeline of individuals that want to do good, that want to do great, that want to be well, that want to be wealthy. Like right now, we're acquired some land to where make sure it's shovel ready to build a hotel on there, a whole full-fledged family center, community center, parking garage, sports theme. Pretty much you can go there and it's literally a one-stop shop, like a resort, but in different locations. And then we're opening up another private school, Life Legacy Academy, and there's going to be ones in different locations and our countries, because it's the level of value of education within our capital partners that we have in place. We want to add in that wealth fit component to where these kids are learning more about wealth. So it's more people, because with the more people you have, the more kids that come with that. So they're educating themselves, they're educating their kids about, how to do certain things, like taking those tax strategy classes so you can learn about it now, so they can understand why when you have $20, you don't spend the whole thing. My grandmother always says, for every $5 you have, you can spend 3 but save 2, so you always have funds for your fare back home. Hence her age, $5 made sense, but now that $5 is more like 100 when I'm talking about math. So like, have yourself in decent in order. And she always says, work for what you want, pay for what you get. And I ain't always talking about money, baby. Watch where you're putting your time, because it matters, because you get back what you put in, because time is like a paycheck. So business wise, it's more people, more contacts to add more value to them so they can build their bank prior to them just saying, I want to invest in this, I want to invest in that. Because anyone that's truly an investor or truly an entrepreneur, the time commitment that goes into that, most people aren't ready for it, and they quit before their breakthrough ever happens. And I always say your breakthrough is usually always around the corner. The question is, are you going to get to the corner to go around it? Are you going to get to the door and knock and go through it? Are you just going to open the door and go through it? Are you scared to even get to the door to take the action to move forward? So getting in front of more people, talking to more people, trying to add value to more people, and understanding that you're not going to add value to everyone, but sometimes you can expand their mindset from a consumer mindset to an entrepreneur mindset or an investor's mindset. They look and value money completely differently, because money is a product, money is a tool, and your relationship with money, when it changes because you have more and you're doing well and you're wealthy, your life will become a life of abundance, and you too can be a life legacy changer.
And what you just said, which indirectly, you can be an entrepreneur, you can develop an entrepreneurial mindset and still have a capital partner.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Okay.
It's not for everyone. I want to say that out loud. It's not for everyone. Like, I know deep down, I don't really want to work for others, but at the same time, I knew the systems that I was going to learn. Like, I recently won an award called the Wallet Genius. It wasn't until I was at that large gathering with over 500 plus people that I found out I won it. Of course, I had some food hanging out my mouth when I found out, so I had to hurry up and clean up from that. But I was told I increased the budget 600%. And in my head, I'm like, 600%? That's how I knew it wasn't me. And then when they said my name, I was like, 600%. But that explained why my businesses were doing very well as well, because I was applying those same type of metrics, EKPIs, those SMART goals, and all those things that I was learning system-wise at work, or my capital partner. Those same things were being applied to my actual business, just in a different way. It's kind of like going to school. That's a capital partner. They're paying for your education if you have the opportunity with scholarships or whatever the case may be. Now, what you choose to do with that time and those resources is on you. You can go have fun, or you can actually listen and apply it. So I would say it's not for everyone, but I chose to leverage it. So I always knew I could have more capital to deploy to do more good and create more passive cash flow.
Miss Grimsley, you are, I don't even have the right terminology. I want to say like super califragilisticexpialidocious.
You have to understand the audience. Every audience is going to be different, and you got to be realistic. There's going to be some novices out there that never invested. They want to invest. What's going to help them take the first step? And the ones that have invested, things haven't gone right. They don't want to do it ever again. So they're probably going to be the ones not helping the ones that want to take the first step. And you have the ones that have done it. They never had a deal that's gone sour, or an investment that's made them feel indifferent, like, the person that's taken the first step, or the person that's not had a successful experience. And then you have the other ones that are in the big playing field. So you just have to be realistic when you're communicating. The audience can range. And when you're ranging, you have to be able to communicate to all of them while you're communicating, to where there's not a ton of jargon. You're being very honest, direct, and truthful.
I definitely appreciate that, because that's what this is all about, right? Sharing the wealth. And you shared a ton of wealth and knowledge, because knowledge is wealth, but then the power comes from implementation. So I want everybody to implement. She gave so many websites, and she gave the information like how you can get started. So go get the education that she has for free on her site. So, you have no excuses, because she really laid it all out for you guys. And how can people get in touch with you or connect with you?
The best way, I would say LinkedIn. I don't do a ton of social media, but I make sure on my LinkedIn, I'm the person answering. So you're not getting a bot and things of that nature. That's me being professional in that communication back to you. So if you get a message back, that's actually me, not someone else. My LinkedIn is Albrey G. That's ALBREY G on LinkedIn. And on there, I have a ton of different things. You go to our website, phone number, and on my Calendly is there. Feel free to book a call. If I could be of value to you, I love connecting with phenomenal individuals.
Oh, I love it. And you yourself are phenomenal. Phenomenal, like attracts like. Okay. Thank you again so much for joining us today. Everyone listening, I don't want to say if you got value from this episode, there's no way that did not happen. Give it a like the show, share this episode with your friends or colleagues or whoever you think is going to benefit from it, which is actually everybody. So just share it with everybody and then leave us a review so that more people can hear information like what Albrey just shared with us today. This really needs to get out there, and we can do that with your help. So share the show, share the wealth, and we will see you at the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Great day to have a great day.
It sure is.
Did you love this episode of Share the Wealth Show? Be sure to connect with Nicole by following her on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. If you picked up any of the gems that were dropped by today's guest, make sure you not only put them in your bag, but if you know of someone who would benefit from this information, don't keep it to yourself. Share the wealth and make sure to leave us a rating and review. We'll see you for next week's episode. Subscribe so you'll be notified.